Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Recently, I picked up a very cheap copy of the first edition of Night Model's Harry Potter Miniatures adventure game. The main reason I purchased that game was I wanted the miniatures and the boards and things like that to use in Dungeons & Dragons. But I did say I was going to check out the game in its own right, and indeed I did. There's actually a video on my channel of my very first playthrough of the game. And I had a slightly rough time with the rules. The rules are a little bit gappy, and I have some misgivings with the starter set. Some of the components in the first edition are terrible, but that was rectified for the second edition. But there's also component issues in that you don't really get a very good mix of spells and items. You get a lot of potions that you can't use out of the box because the characters they give you aren't actually skilled enough to use those potions. Things like that, things that make it obvious that you're supposed to pick up expansion packs, and there are many expansion packs available. I actually liked the game enough to consider picking up a few more of those expansion packs. So I did go online and have a bit of a look around, and I actually found someone who was selling some of the expansion packs for £6 each. It looks like the expansion packs fall into two main categories. There are expansion packs that give you new characters. So there's an expansion pack that's got Voldemort in it, there's an expansion pack that's got a group of the Hogwarts teachers, there's expansion packs for Dumbledore's army, all that sort of stuff. And then there are also expansion packs which are adventure packs, which include a creature of some kind and then a scenario for using that creature. As I always have my Dungeons & Dragons brain on in the background, I'm always thinking, can I use these miniatures for other things? I grabbed the Unicorn Adventure Pack and the Troll Adventure Pack because I can always make use of a troll and a unicorn in Rangers of Shadow Deep and Dungeons & Dragons. So today we are going to look at the Troll Adventure Pack, which we have right here in front of us. They come in these blister packs, and I paid £6 for this, and I think for a large resin miniature and a few other cards and bits and bobs, that it's decent value at that. But of course, £6 wasn't the original retail price. They were much more than that. And what I did discover when I was looking at expansion packs and thinking which ones would be worth getting, I found it a little bit difficult because every expansion pack has some extra cards in it. You get maybe some items, maybe some spells, maybe some potions, maybe new scenarios, character cards that might also have versions of those character cards for using in the co-op mode. Yet, it's not clear from the descriptions of the products what you are getting in those boxes. So if you're looking at the game and thinking, well, I really want some extra dark magic spells, I want to get all of the unforgivable curses, for example, it's not that easy just to go online and go, well, I need to buy that box, and that box, and then I've got all of those spell cards. And when I looked for unboxing videos, I couldn't really find many. And the unboxing videos I did find were pretty much focusing on the miniatures. They tended to be unboxing videos from when the game first came out, and those unboxing videos were from people who hadn't played the game, didn't really know what the cards did. A lot of people were going, I don't know what these cards do yet, but look at this nice miniature, which is fine. And obviously, when a new game comes out, those sort of videos are very useful. But in my particular case, wanting to know what I was getting to add to the game as well as the pretty miniature, not that useful. So that being the case, I thought I would unbox these expansions on video, even though they've been around for a while, and even though there's probably not that many people interested in seeing them. So let's take a look. First of all, we have our troll miniature, and he is a hefty chunk of resin. Very nicely detailed, pretty screen accurate from what I can remember of the film. I do remember that this was from the first Harry Potter film, and the special effects were pretty terrible back then. He was not a particularly well-rendered troll, and in fact, I would say this miniature looks nicer than the CGI one from the film. I also remember there was a point where Harry Potter rides on the troll, and it really is quite ghastly to look at. It reminds me of the Rock turning into a scorpion in The Mummy Returns, but probably a little bit worse. But regardless, we have a big old chunk of resin, a very nice miniature. standard resin things to worry about. We've got little bits of underfill and things that need to be trimmed off under the feet. We've got some stems, some mold lines. This one's not too bad in terms of cleanup by the looks of it, and no broken elements or anything. One of the things about Knight models is that people say they are quite fragile, or at least the first edition ones were. I have no idea whether this troll was produced during the first edition run or whether he's a newer one or what, but he looks pretty solid, pretty robust, and pretty easy to go together. We've got one body and one set of arms. Again, very nicely detailed, with his big hitting stick. And finally, we have a base, which is quite clearly too small. This is a 30mm base, the same size as the ones that are for the human-sized characters in the game. He is not going to sit on that, and that, I think, just speaks of something that I've heard quite a bit about the Harry Potter miniatures game, and that's it's a little bit on the slapdash side. There seems to be frequently minor little complaints and issues, damaged cards, wrong bases, missing arms, snapped wands, all that sort of stuff that's just a little bit annoying. As it turns out, I have plenty of 40 and 50mm bases, so I can easily swap that out and get him on the right size base. If anybody would like to tell me what size base he's supposed to be on, that would be great. Let me know in the comments, although as far as using him in the board game goes, it doesn't really matter, because once you get past the 30mm size, they're supposed to fill 4 spaces on the board regardless. But I guess he's supposed to be on a 40mm base, but maybe a 50. First of all, you get 2 character cards. You get one for if you want to add him to your force, in which case he costs 9 galleons, or there is a version for if you're going to play the co-op game, and in which case he is 2 of the silver coins, whatever they are. I can't remember what they're called. But other than that, the cards are basically the same, although, again, referring to that sort of slightly slapdash thing, the traits are in a different order. Even though they're the same traits, they're just slightly different order, which is weird. But yeah, other than that, they are the same details on the cards. So you can see that obviously he doesn't have any spells and he doesn't add anything to your cunning. He's not going to add any magic to your magic pool. But he does have a bash, which is a physical attack, which can do 3 damage, which is pretty big, because nothing in the starter set can cause that much damage. I think the maximum you can get out of the starter set is 2 damage points if you hit someone with a sword. But normally you're doing 1 point of damage pinging people with stupefy spells. So this is something that's a little bit harder hitting. And we can see on the co-op version of the card there, we have the same bash ability. In terms of traits, as well as being a beast, he is large, which effectively means he gets 8 hit points instead of 4. He has to accumulate 2 of each coloured damage token before going up to the next level. It's going to make him a lot harder to kill, and it also means it takes longer for him to accumulate negative modifiers like ignoring exploding dice. We have magical immunity 1, which I believe means every time he takes 1 magical damage, it is reduced by 1, so things like the stupefy spell won't be able to hurt him. And then we have physical resistance 2, which means he gets to add 2 successes to any defense roll he makes. So he's very sturdy, and probably too sturdy to go up against most things from the starter set. And I guess this is one of those problems that I was talking about, where you don't really know what you're getting with these expansion packs, because I couldn't find any good videos or anything, or any good unboxings that told me exactly what was going to be in there, because yeah, this troll is probably too powerful to face the starter set characters. You probably want to get him going up against some of the Hogwarts teachers, the professors, those tougher characters that have the more powerful spells at their disposal. Next up, you get a single quest card, this one called Troll in the Dungeon. It says your opponent must place 1 troll model within 5 spaces of any board edge. The troll is controlled by the opposing player until the end of the game. If the troll is removed from play before the game ends, score 3 victory points and discard this card. This is the only way this troll model can award victory points to any player. And yeah, that's an odd one, because If you watch my playthrough, you'll know that these quest cards, you draw 3 at the start of the game, and they are ways to score additional victory points. And then every time you complete a quest, you draw a replacement quest. So you constantly have a rolling roster of objectives to achieve. And you can add this through choice to your quest deck, and when it turns up, it's a way of getting 3 victory points. But in so doing that, you are gifting your opponent a troll, which is a 9-point character. So you're saying, yeah, here you go, here's a free 9-point character, which if you're playing a 40-point game, that's almost 25% of your starting points value just in a free troll that they then get to use and beat you over the head with. And in return for that, you might get 3 victory points if you can kill it. Which seems odd. That doesn't seem good. That doesn't seem like something you would want to put in there unless you have specifically brought along someone like Dumbledore who has some powerful spells. Or maybe if you've got Voldemort on your team and you've got Avacadabra and you think you've got a good chance of basically blitzing the troll off the board with one spell in one turn. So, yeah, again, something that feels like it needs to be going into your deck when you have more advanced, stronger characters. One of the things I was most interested in getting was new items and new spells, because you really don't get enough in the base game in the starter set. And it's a little bit disappointing to discover that this set only contains a single spell card. It is Wingardium Leviosa, and I guess that's in there because, as I recall, that is how they get the troll in the movie. I think they cast Wingardium Leviosa on the troll's club and it floats up into the air and then drops on the troll's head and knocks him out. Spoilers, I guess. So I guess that's why this is in there, but it is a little bit disappointing to only see one. But there we go. It's a difficulty 3 spell that says, choose any marker that was placed by a quest card, move target marker up to 3 spaces. So that's interesting. It's not a combat spell. It's not something you can use on an opponent. I thought it might have been, but yeah, it's not. It's something that you can use to move markers around the board, which is quite useful. A good way to get victory points in this game is to focus on moving markers around rather than fighting your opponent. And if you have a team that isn't focusing on combat, isn't focusing on destroying the opposition, you might want to bring this along to make getting those quest markers achieved quicker and more easily. The last thing you get is this expansion scenario sheet, which says, this scenario have a models involved section. Well done with the grammar there, everybody. Good job. Which lists the recommended participants. You do not have to use the models listed, however, or even the restrictions on the numbers of models listed. Yeah, okay, so it's a guideline. What have we got? Troll in the dungeon. The scenario length lasts for a maximum of 6 rounds. Player A gets 3 models with the apprentice trait, and player B gets 1 troll. Okay, that's actually good because you can do that with the starter set. Hermione, Ron, and Harry are all apprentices, so you can take those 3 and fight the troll. I guess this is going to be an attempt to recreate the scene from the movie in which Ron and Harry rescue Hermione from the troll. Although I think they're in the toilets in that scene. I'm not an expert on Harry Potter, so yeah, forgive me if I'm talking nonsense there. So we have deployment. There must be a map. There's a map. We've got player A over here, player B, which is the troll, and then C for captured. So I guess that one of our apprentices is trapped like Hermione in the film. Player A deploys all models except the captured model, and player B deploys the troll. If the troll model is removed from the game, player A scores 8 victory points. For each of player A's models removed from the game, player B scores 4 victory points. So, yep, it's a case of bonking the apprentices on the head before they get you. Scenario special rules. Captured. Before deployment, player B nominates one of player A's models to be captured. This model must be placed in the space marked on the map and cannot be activated until a friendly model moves into an adjacent space. When this happens, the model stops being captured and is instead free. The troll model can't attack the captured model until it is free. Once free, the chosen model can be activated normally by player A. Fair enough. Wingardium Leviosa. For this scenario, all of player A's models have the Wingardium Leviosa spell for free. If successfully cast against the troll model, the troll suffers 1d6 damage but does not gain the fly trait. Wingardium Leviosa doesn't mention the fly trait, so I'm not sure what that's all about. Again, just slightly slapdash with how these things are put together. I guess, is there a more advanced Wingardium Leviosa, which a Maximo version, which has a fly trait that gets applied? I don't know. But also, this is a scenario for 3 apprentices. It says all of the apprentices get Wingardium Leviosa for free, and yet the pack only includes 1 card. In this game, everybody who has a spell gets a clock on the spell, and when they cast the spell, the clock has to turn round. So you need multiple cards. You need a card for each person who has a particular spell. If you don't have the cards, it's more difficult to track who's cast it, who hasn't cast it. So that's just slapdash. That's a little bit lazy. At the very least, you should have 3 copies of Wingardium Leviosa in this set. I do like the fact that they have applied a special rule to Wingardium Leviosa to actually make it so that the apprentices can actually defeat the troll, because normally they wouldn't have a chance based on his stats. So they have thought about that. It doesn't specify whether this is a co-op or a competitive scenario. Well, obviously they formatted it as a competitive scenario because they've got player A and player B. I guess you could play this using the co-op rules pretty easily. Just, you have one person or solo. You could have one person controlling all of the apprentices and then use the AI for the troll. That would probably work without thinking about it too much, I guess. But there we go. That's it. That's everything you get in the pack. Anyway, I have to say, mixed bag on my impressions. I like the troll miniature. He looks more like an ogre to me than a troll, and he will probably end up getting used as an ogre in Rangers of Shadow Deep and Dungeons and Dragons, more so than anything else. He is obviously very powerful and not really designed to go up against these weaker characters, except for in this particular scenario. I'm not sure about the new quest card. That seems like a dangerous addition to your quest deck for the sake of 3 victory points. I would expect to get a much better prize for killing a troll. And it's nice to have Wingardium Leviosa. That's not a spell that comes in the starter set, to the best of my recollection. So it's nice to have another one of those. But really, you needed 3. There should have been 3. And I think that's a bit off that they haven't included more cards so that you've got all the cards you would need for this particular scenario. Of course, there's also no new items or anything. I would have liked to have seen some items. And also, this is supposed to be an adventure pack. They call it an adventure pack. And I guess this is just a semantics thing. But when I think adventure pack, I don't think 1 miniature and 1 scenario. I think of a set of scenarios, possibly a through story, possibly a mini campaign, new items and things that are linked to that adventure, to that story, things that you can discover and reveal. And you're not getting any of that really with this adventure pack. I can't complain because I paid £6 for this, but I think if I had paid full price for it somewhere down the road, I would not have been best pleased. Overall, again, I think it feels like everything else about this game. It feels like it's really nice miniatures, a solid game. It is a solid game. The core game is good. And then just packaged in a slightly haphazard way and designed in such a way that you're not really getting all of the components you need when you need them. You're not getting all of the options you want when you want them. And it feels like you're going to have to constantly keep buying more to get access. Or, of course, cracking open the photocopier and photocopying lots of bits of card, which will probably be what I do. But that's it from me for now, I guess. I have no idea how interesting this has been to anybody. We are, of course, talking about a product that has been around for quite some time, but I do think that if you can find this for a good price online and you are interested in Harry Potter, or you do just want a cool troll miniature, this might be worth looking into. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.